My mother lied about a water leak to live with me, used my money without permission, and then locked me out. I needed a court order to enter my own house. My sister showed up at my apartment door with 3 suitcases and a smile I knew all too well. The smile that said, "You're not going to say no because we're family." It was 2 in the afternoon on a Tuesday, and I had just come out of a meeting that lasted 3 hours. I work as a financial analyst at a consulting firm in Curitiba. My day starts at 6 in the morning checking international markets and ends when it ends, which usually means around 7 at night. "I need to stay here for a while," she said, pushing the first suitcase inside without waiting for an invitation. Rodrigo and I broke up. For real this time. I stood there holding my purse, mentally calculating the space in my 1-bedroom apartment. It was my first property, bought after 5 years of saving money and living in noisy studio apartments. I had bought it 8 months ago. The paint still smelled new in some corners. "For how long?" I asked. She shrugged, already dragging the second suitcase. "I don't know. A month? 2? Just until I get reorganized." My sister Marcella was 28 years old, 3 years younger than me. She had always been the spontaneous one in the family, the one who quit jobs because the boss was annoying, who moved apartments 4 times a year, who dated problematic men and then cried on my couch saying this time would be different. I was the responsible one. The one who had had a budget spreadsheet since I was 19. The one who never missed a bill payment. The one the family called when they needed to borrow money. "Okay," I said, because it was easier than arguing. But just temporarily. She hugged me tight, smelling of expensive perfume that I knew she couldn't afford. "Thank you, sis. You always save me." In the first week, it was calm. Marcella slept on the sofa bed in the living room, kept her things organized, and even washed the dishes a few times. She was quiet, kind of depressed about the breakup, and I thought maybe this time she really was going to use the time to reorganize. In the second week, she started receiving packages. Boxes from Shine, from Shopee, small packages that she opened with the excitement of a child at Christmas. When I asked if she was working, she waved vaguely. Some freelance here and there. Graphic design. Marcella had studied design, but never held a steady job for more than 6 months. There was always an excuse. The environment was toxic, the salary was too low, the boss didn't value creativity. In the third week, our mothers started showing up. My mother, Sylvia, was 58 years old and had lived alone since my father died 4 years ago. He had a heart attack in his sleep. We found him in the morning, and since then my mother lived in a permanent state of performative widowhood, where everything was difficult, everything was a painful reminder, and everyone had to help. "I came to see how you are," she said on the first visit, bringing a bag of frozen cheese bread that I didn't ask for. But she didn't come alone. She brought Bento, her poodle, a hysterical 7-pound dog that barked at shadows. Marcella was delighted. "Oh, how cute. Let him stay." I looked at the dog, who was sniffing my new rug. "Mom, you can't have dogs here. The condo has rules." My mother made that face of someone who had just been deeply hurt. "Are you saying my Bento isn't welcome?" "That's not it. It's just that." "It's okay, Juliana. I understand. I'll take him away since he bothers you so much." She didn't take him. Bento stayed all day, peed on the rug twice, and chewed the tip of my laptop charger cable. When they finally left at 10 at night, my mother gave me a cold kiss on the cheek and said, "You're very stressed. You should take better care of yourself." It was around this time that I started to notice a pattern. My electricity bill came 340 Brazilian reals more than normal. When I asked, Marcella said she was using the air conditioning at night because she couldn't sleep in the heat. "But I'll pay half," she offered, never actually giving me the money. The grocery shopping doubled. I made a list, bought enough for 2 weeks, and 3 days later half was gone. Marcella invited friends over, made dinners, used my spices, my Italian olive oil that cost 87 Brazilian reals, my imported cheese. "You don't mind, right?" she would say. "We're sisters." I did mind. But every time I tried to talk, it became dramatic. My mother would call saying I was being selfish. "She's going through a difficult time. Can't you help your sister?" I had always helped. Since my father died, I was the one who held everything together. I paid for the funeral because my mother hadn't saved money. I paid 3 months of her rent when she said she couldn't work from crying so much. I lent Marcella 2,000 Brazilian reals to start a business that never started. I never charged it back. Because family doesn't charge, according to my mother. In the second month, Marcella casually announced that she had invited our mother to live with me too. I was washing dishes when she said it, as if she were commenting on the weather. Oh, Mom is going to move here next week. I dropped the sponge. What? It's temporary. Her apartment has a water leak and the landlord is going to renovate. She has nowhere to go. Marcella, this is my apartment. She frowned as if I had said something absurd. So what? There's space. She can sleep in my room, we'll share. You sleep in the living room. So we'll arrange it. Relax, sis. I tried calling my mother. She answered on the third ring, voice already tearful. You don't want to help me? Your own mother. That's not it, Mom. But the apartment is small, there's no. I raised you. I gave you everything. And now that I need you, you turn your back on me. I hung up feeling dirty. My mother arrived on Saturday with 7 boxes, bento, and a single bed that she insisted on setting up in my living room because she didn't want to bother Marcella. My living room became an improvised bedroom. My sofa was pushed against the wall. My coffee table disappeared under blankets and pillows. It's just until the renovation is finished, my mother repeated. The renovation never started. 3 weeks later, I asked when the landlord was going to start the work. My mother looked away. Oh, he's stalling. But soon. I called the landlord. He seemed confused. What renovation? There's no renovation scheduled. I felt my stomach sink. I confronted my mother that night. She was watching a soap opera, bento on her lap, eating my imported cookies. Mom, I talked to your landlord. He said there's no renovation. Silence. Then, without taking her eyes off the TV, he must have forgotten to tell you. Mom. Juliana, for God's sake, are you going to make me go through this now? I'm trying to relax. That's when I understood. There was no leak. There was no renovation. My mother simply decided she wanted to live with me and made up an excuse. I tried to talk to Marcella. She was lying on my bed, because now my mother slept in the living room and Marcella had taken over my bedroom, on her phone. Mom lied about the renovation. Marcella shrugged. So what? She's fine here. What's the problem? The problem is this is my apartment and nobody asked me. Wow, how selfish. She rolled her eyes. Mom has nowhere to go and you're here complaining. She has an apartment that she can't afford alone since Dad died. You know that. I knew. Because I had been paying half her rent for 2 years. Another 1,800 Brazilian reals per month that disappeared from my account automatically, debited directly because my mother said it was easier that way. I went to sleep on the couch that night because I no longer had a bedroom. Bento barked from 3 to 4 in the morning. My mother didn't wake up to calm him. At work, I started making mistakes. Small ones at first. Forgetting to answer emails, delivering things a day late. My boss called me into his office and asked if everything was okay. Everything's great, I lied. But it wasn't. I would arrive home exhausted and find the kitchen dirty, the living room disorganized, my things used without permission. My expensive shampoo would disappear in a week. My good wine was open without me even knowing. My food disappeared. When I complained, my mother said, "You want us to starve?" When I showed her the bills, electricity, water, internet, all very high, she sighed. Money, money, money. Is that all you think about? Marcella got a new boyfriend. Bruno. He started sleeping there too. It's just once in a while, she assured me. Once in a while became 4 nights a week. He used my bathroom, ate my food, left dirty clothes in the hamper. Once, I found his toothbrush in the same cup as mine. I threw it away. Marcella called me childish. The peak came 3 months after my mother moved in. I came home and found a family gathering happening in my living room. My mother, Marcella, Bruno, my Aunt Celia, my cousin Fabio and his girlfriend, all sitting on my couch, eating pizza I didn't order, watching TV at maximum volume. What's happening? My mother smiled. We had a little party. You work too much, you need to relax. The pizza was on my table. 8 boxes. The bill arrived in my email 3 hours later, 347 Brazilian reals, charged to my credit card registered in the delivery app. Nobody asked me. Nobody warned me. They simply used my card because it was saved on my mother's phone since the last time I ordered food. I went to the bathroom and locked the door. I sat on the edge of the bathtub and took a deep breath, trying not to cry. My phone vibrated. Bank notification. Purchase of 890 Brazilian reals denied due to lack of limit. I opened the app. Someone had tried to buy a new TV. My limit was almost all committed to purchases I didn't recognize. Grocery store, pharmacy, gas station, clothing store. I checked the recent transactions. 4,200 Brazilian reals in purchases in the last 15 days. I hadn't made even half of that. I left the bathroom. The party continued. I went to my mother. Who's using my card? She blinked innocently. What are you talking about? I showed her my phone. She looked and shrugged. Oh yes. I bought some little things. You have money, it doesn't make a difference. It makes a difference. It's my money. Marcella interjected. My God, are you going to make a scene over grocery purchases? We eat that food too. Nobody asked me. My Aunt Celia shook her head. Juliana, dear, family shares everything. You're being very, she searched for the word, individualistic. I left the house. Literally left. Grabbed my purse and left. I drove aimlessly for 40 minutes until I stopped in an empty supermarket parking lot and cried until I had no more tears. When I returned, it was already midnight. The house was silent. I went straight to the bathroom and slept in the bathtub with a blanket, locked inside. The next morning, I started researching lawyers. On Monday, I called a law firm that a coworker had recommended. The secretary put me through to Dr. Patricia, a lawyer specializing in family law and property issues. So, let me understand, she said after I finished explaining. You are the sole owner of the property? Yes. It's in my name. I made the down payment, paid the financing, everything. And they're living there without paying anything? My mother still pays the rent on her apartment, but basically I'm the one who pays because I deposit 1,800 Brazilian reals per month into her account. And here they don't contribute anything. My sister promises, but never pays. I heard her write something down. And about the credit card? My mother has access because once she needed to make an emergency purchase, and I left the card saved in her app. That was a year ago. She never returned the access. Did you authorize the recent purchases? No. Then it's unauthorized use. You can block the card, dispute the unauthorized purchases, and, if necessary, file a police report. My stomach churned. A police report against my mother? I understand it's difficult. But legally, using a credit card without authorization is a crime. You don't need to do this now, but it's important to know you have that right. Silence. Juliana, can I give you some advice? Not as a lawyer, but as someone who has seen many cases like this. Yes. Setting boundaries with family is the hardest thing in the world because they use guilt as a weapon. But what's happening here isn't help. It's abuse. Your mother and your sister are systematically taking advantage of you. The words hit me like a punch. Think about this, she continued. If a friend told you this story, what would you tell her? I already knew the answer. I would tell her to get out of that situation. Immediately. What do I do? First, cut off access to your money. Cancel cards. Change passwords. Remove any bank authorization. Second, document everything. Screenshots of conversations, photos of the apartment's condition, payment receipts. Third, formally notify them that they need to leave. They're going to freak out. Probably. But that's not your problem. You have the right to live in your own house. I hung up with a plan. A scary plan, but a plan. First step, I went to the bank during lunch. I explained the situation to the manager without going into dramatic details. Just said I needed to protect my account from unauthorized access. He canceled my credit card and issued a new one with a different number. Changed my password. Activated two-step authentication. Removed all authorized devices except my phone. The purchases you didn't recognize, you can open a dispute, he said. You'll need to fill out a form and specify which transactions weren't yours. There were 23 transactions in 3 weeks. 4,891.67 Brazilian reals in total. I filled out the form right there, hands shaking. Second step, I changed the Wi-Fi password. Changed the password for Netflix, Spotify, Amazon Prime. Everything that was logged in on devices that weren't mine, I disconnected. Third step, I took photos. Each room of the apartment. My mother's bed set up in the living room. Marcella's clothes scattered in my bedroom. The dirty kitchen with accumulated dishes. The bathroom with products from 4 different people. The delivery boxes piled up in the hallway. I saved everything in a cloud folder with date and time. When I got home that night, my mother was waiting at the door, phone in hand, face red. "My card doesn't work," she said without even greeting me. "I canceled it." "You did what?" "I canceled my card. You used 4,800 Brazilian reals without permission. I'm going to dispute the purchases." Marcella appeared from the bedroom, Bruno behind her. "You can't do that." "I can." And I did. My mother started crying. Not that genuine cry of sadness. The manipulative cry she had used since I was a child. "Are you accusing me of stealing?" "I'm saying you used my money without asking. I'm your mother. And this is my apartment and my money." Bruno, who never talked to me, decided to give his opinion. "How absurd. Treating your own mother like this." I turned to him slowly. "You don't live here. You don't pay anything. You don't get an opinion." He opened his mouth to respond, but Marcella pulled him. "Leave it, honey. She's having a crisis." My mother threw herself on the couch, sobbing loudly. "I can't believe my daughter is doing this to me. Your father must be turning in his grave." That hit me. My father. She always used my father when she wanted to manipulate me. "Dad taught me to work hard and not let anyone use me," I responded, voice firmer than I felt. "Including family." I went to the bathroom again, my only refuge. I sat on the cold floor and opened my phone. I had 14 messages. "My Aunt Celia, your mother called me crying. Shame on you, Juliana." "My cousin Fabio, what's the story about you cutting off Aunt's card? That's very low." 3 friends of my mother, numbers I didn't even have saved. What an ungrateful daughter. God is watching everything. You should be ashamed. My mother had gone out spreading her version. I was the villain. The cruel daughter who abandoned her widowed mother. I blocked all unknown numbers. I only responded to my cousin. "You don't know the whole story." He responded immediately. "I don't need to. Family is family." I blocked him too. I slept in the bathroom again. I woke up at 5 in the morning with a sore body and went straight to work without having breakfast. I didn't want to meet anyone. At the office, I tried to concentrate. I had an important presentation at 10 credit risk analysis for a big client. I spent the morning reviewing numbers, but my head was elsewhere. During the meeting, my phone vibrated. I ignored it. It vibrated again and again. When I finally looked, I had 47 notifications. My mother had created a WhatsApp group called Family and added everyone, uncles, cousins, close friends, even my godmother who I hadn't seen in 5 years. Her first message, "People, I need help. Juliana kicked me out of the house and canceled my card. I have no way to buy food. Can someone help me?" My blood ran cold. The responses came quickly. "My God, Sylvia, what a situation. Juliana has always been kind of cold, but this is too much. You can stay at my house for a few days. I'm going to start a collection to help you." I didn't kick anyone out. I didn't deny food. I just canceled my card that SHE was using without permission, but nobody asked for my version. I left the meeting in the middle, made up an excuse about a family emergency, and went to the parking lot. I sat in the car and finally let the anger out. I screamed. I punched the steering wheel. I cried until I ran out of air. Then I grabbed my phone and wrote in the group. Full version. My mother has been living in my apartment for 3 months without paying anything. She invented a non-existent renovation to justify the move. She used my card without authorization and spent 4,891 Brazilian reals on purchases I didn't authorize. My sister also lives there without contributing. I didn't kick anyone out. I protected my money from unauthorized use. If anyone wants to help, great. But I won't accept being defamed. I sent it and left the group before seeing the responses. I went straight to the real estate agency where I rented my first apartment years ago. The girl at the counter recognized me. Looking for something? An apartment. 1 bedroom. Available immediately. I can pay 3 months in advance. She blinked in surprise. Didn't you buy a property? I have one. But I need a temporary place. She didn't ask anything else. She showed me 3 options. I chose the first one I saw, a small apartment, furnished, in a building without a doorman 15 minutes from my work. 1,200 Brazilian reals per month. I signed the contract in an hour. I transferred 3,600 Brazilian reals on the spot. I got the keys. I returned home at 6 in the evening with a clear plan. My mother was in the kitchen making coffee. Marcella in the living room watching TV. Bruno, of course, was there too. We need to talk, I said. My mother didn't even turn around. If it's to attack me again, I don't want to hear it. It's not an attack. It's a warning. You have 30 days to leave the apartment. Silence. Then Marcella laughed. You can't kick us out. I can. It's my apartment. You don't pay rent, you don't have a contract, you have no rights. My mother dropped the cup in the sink hard. You're kicking me out? Your mother. I'm reclaiming my space. You have an apartment. You can go back there. That I can't afford. Then maybe it's time to get a job. My mother hadn't worked since my father died. She claimed depression, grief, tiredness. But I saw her going out to lunch with friends, going to the mall, traveling to the beach at acquaintances' houses. How can you be so cruel, she whispered. Cruelty would be continuing to let myself be used. I went to the bedroom, my bedroom, where Marcella had installed her things. I started putting her clothes in bags. Stop, she screamed, running after me. You can't do this. I can and I'm doing it. 30 days. Find another place. Bruno approached, chest puffed out. You're crossing the line. And you don't live here. Get out of my apartment now or I'll call the police. He looked at Marcella, waiting for support. She was in shock, standing in the middle of the room. Now, I repeated. He left huffing. I spent the night locked in the bedroom while my mother sobbed in the living room, and Marcella made dramatic calls to friends, telling her version where I was a heartless monster. The next morning, when I left for work, I found a paper taped to the bedroom door with adhesive tape. In my mother's large handwriting, "You're going to regret this." I tore off the paper, threw it in the trash, and went to work. But the peace didn't last. 2 days later, when I returned from the office, I found the apartment lock changed. My key wouldn't go in. I rang the doorbell. Nobody answered. I rang again. I heard movement inside, but nobody came to open. I called my mother. She answered on the 5th ring. Hello. Why is the lock changed? Oh, that. It's that we don't feel safe anymore with you having access. My brain took a while to process. This is my apartment. Technically it's ours now too. We live here. We have rights. You have no rights. She hung up. I called again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. I called Marcella. Same thing. I stood there in the hallway, shaking with rage and disbelief. They had locked me out of my own house. I went down to the lobby. Mr. Marcos, the night doorman, was starting his shift. Mr. Marcos, someone changed the lock on my apartment. He frowned. Changed? When? I don't know. Today, I imagine. Did you see anyone go up? Any locksmith? He consulted the registration book. It's here, yes. At 2 in the afternoon. Your mother authorized it. She said she had lost her keys and needed to change it urgently. My mother hadn't lost any keys. She had planned this. Mr. Marcos, I'm the owner. It's in my name. She can't change the lock without my authorization. He looked uncomfortable. Miss, she lives there. We didn't know that. We thought it was authorized. It wasn't his fault. My mother had manipulated the situation perfectly. It's okay. Thank you. I went back to the car and sat there, hands on the steering wheel, trying to think clearly. Option 1, call the police. But what would I say? My family changed the lock? They would probably say it was a civil matter, tell me to resolve it with a lawyer. Option 2, break down the door. But then I would be the aggressor. They could accuse me of invasion, even though it was my apartment. Option 3. Follow the legal process. Slow, exhausting, but correct. I called Dr. Patricia. It was 7 at night, but she answered. They changed the lock, I said, voice shaking. Silence on the other end. Then, can you prove you're the owner? I can. Deed, payment receipts, everything. Great. Come to the office tomorrow first thing. We're going to file a repossession action. And possibly a precautionary measure to give you immediate access. How long does this take? With urgency? We can have a decision in 48 hours. But Juliana, you're going to need police to execute it. Your family won't leave willingly. I swallowed hard. I know. I hung up and went straight to the apartment I had rented. Empty, cold, smelling of old paint. But it was mine. Nobody was going to lock me out of there. I slept on the floor with a blanket I bought at the gas station because I didn't even have a pillow. The next morning, I went to Dr. Patricia's office at 8 o'clock sharp. She already had the documents prepared. Did you bring your deed? I handed it over. She reviewed it, nodded. Perfect. I'll file it today. The judge should review it by tomorrow. Do you have photos of the apartment? Proof that your things are there. I showed her. The photos I had taken. My bed, my wardrobe, my books, my TV. Great. This helps. They're going to claim they live there, but the property is indisputably yours. And changing the lock without your consent is possessory dispossession. Dispossession. Illegal seizure of possession. You were deprived of access to your property. It's serious. I signed everything she put in front of me. Power of attorney, initial petition, declarations. One thing, she said before I left. Prepare yourself psychologically. Your family is going to react badly. Very badly. They're going to defame you. They're going to say you're being aggressive. They're going to try to make you look like the villain. Can you handle it? I thought about everything I had been through. The 1,800 Brazilian reals monthly for my mother. The 4,891 Brazilian reals spent without permission. The 3 months without contribution. The changed lock. The WhatsApp group defaming me. I can handle it. I went back to work trying to maintain normality. But it was impossible to concentrate. My boss called me at the end of the afternoon. Juliana, you've been absent a lot. Is everything okay? Personal problems. But I'm resolving them. He hesitated. Look, you're an excellent employee. But I need you to be present. Mentally too. In the last few days you've been absent. I know. Sorry. It will get better. He didn't seem convinced, but nodded. If you need a few days, we can talk about leave. No need. Thank you. But the truth is I was falling apart. That night, I received an email from the condo. Complaint of excessive noise in my apartment. Party until 3 in the morning. Irritated neighbors. My mother and Marcella were having a party. In my house. While I slept on the floor of an empty apartment. I responded to the email politely, explaining that I had been prevented from accessing my own apartment and that I was taking legal measures. The building manager responded, I'm sorry about the situation. Unfortunately, we can't get involved in family matters. But the parties need to stop or we'll have to apply a fine. The fine would come to me. Everything came to me. Because my name was on the deed. The next day, Dr. Patricia called. We have the decision. The judge granted the injunction. You have the right to access your apartment immediately. I'm going to request police support for the repossession. When? Tomorrow, 10 in the morning. A court officer will go along with the police. They'll have to open the door and return access to you. If they refuse, they can be arrested for contempt. My heart raced. Arrested. It's unlikely to come to that. Normally, when they see the police, they cooperate. But yes, technically they can be detained if they defy the court order. I spent the night without sleeping, imagining how it would be. Police knocking on the door. My mother crying. Marcella screaming. The neighbors watching. My family was going to hate me forever. But what else could I do? Give up my apartment? Let them keep everything I had built? No. Absolutely not. At 10 in the morning, I was in front of the building with Dr. Patricia. A police car arrived. 2 officers, a man and a woman. And the court officer, a man of about 50 years old with a black briefcase. Mrs. Juliana, he confirmed. That's me. I have here the repossession order. Let's go up. We went up in the elevator in silence. My stomach was churning. We arrived on my floor. We walked to my door. The officer knocked. Court officer. Open the door, please. Silence. He knocked again. Court order. We need you to open. I heard movement inside. Whispers. Footsteps. The door opened. My mother was there, in a robe, hair messy. She looked at the police, at the officer, at me. Her face went through several stages. Surprise, fear, anger. What is this? She asked, voice trembling. The officer showed the document. Repossession order. You need to allow the owner to enter the property. But I live here. You are occupying without legal authorization. The owner requested repossession, and the judge granted it. Please allow entry. Marcella appeared behind my mother. This is ridiculous. She can't do this. The female officer, a woman with a firm voice, said, We can do this in a calm way or in a complicated way. Your choice, ladies. My mother started crying. That loud, performative cry. My daughter is kicking me out. With the police. What a shame. Some neighbors opened their doors, curious. Donna Amelia, the neighbor across the hall, asked, Is everything okay, Sylvia? My daughter is throwing me out on the street. My mother shouted for the audience. I felt my face burn with shame, but I stood firm. The officer, patient, explained, Nobody is being thrown out on the street. A court order of repossession is just being fulfilled. You ladies can remain temporarily while you look for another place, but the owner needs to have access to her property. Temporarily, how long? Marcella asked, aggressive. Dr. Patricia responded, 30 days from today. Formal notification will be delivered. My mother threw herself on the couch, crying. Marcella looked at me with pure hatred. You're going to regret this, she said, quietly venomous. The police entered with me. They did a quick inspection. Everything was there, my things, but everything was messed with. My wardrobe turned upside down. My drawers open. My desk messy. Looking for something? I asked Marcella. She didn't respond. The locksmith that the officer had brought changed the lock again. This time, only I received the keys. You are repossessed, the officer declared. The occupants have 30 days to completely vacate the property. After that period, a new eviction order can be executed. My mother continued crying. Marcella was already on the phone, probably calling half the family to tell her version. The police and the officer left. Dr. Patricia squeezed my shoulder. You did it. Now it's about staying firm for the next 30 days. When everyone left, I was alone in the living room with my mother and my sister. The silence was heavy, toxic. Satisfied, Marcella finally said, No. But I had no choice. You always have a choice, my mother whispered. You chose this. You chose to humiliate us. You locked me out of my own house. Because you were going to kick us out. Because you refused to leave voluntarily. My mother got up, face stained with mascara. You're just like your father. Hard. Cold. Heartless. That hurt more than I expected. Dad taught me not to let anyone use me. Use? Use? I raised you. I fed you. I dressed you. And I've been supporting you for 4 years. I pay half your rent. I paid for Dad's funeral. I gave you shelter, food, everything. And you repay me by spending my money without permission and locking me out. She slammed the table. I'm your mother. You owe me everything. I don't owe you my dignity. I grabbed my purse, some clothes, and left. I wasn't going to sleep there with them. Not yet. I went back to my rented apartment. In the following days, the war really began. My family mounted a massive defamation campaign. WhatsApp groups, Facebook, Instagram. My mother posted a photo of herself crying with the caption, When your daughter kicks you out of the house with the police. 137 comments. All against me. What a horrible daughter. People like that don't deserve family. Your mother raised you and you do this? Marcella posted a video of herself packing boxes, crying, talking about family abuse and narcissistic daughter. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Unknown numbers. Messages from people I didn't even know cursing at me. I blocked everything. Deactivated social media. Isolated myself completely. At work, a colleague stopped me in the hallway. "Hey, I saw some things about you online. Is everything okay? It's complicated. Look, I don't want to intrude, but your mother is saying some heavy things." I felt my stomach sink. "What kind of things?" He hesitated. "That you have psychological problems. That you're having a breakdown. That you've always been aggressive." Psychological. Breakdown. Aggressive. She was trying to paint me as crazy. "It's not true," I said, voice firm despite the internal trembling. I know you. I just thought you should know what they're saying." "Thank you," I whispered and locked myself in the bathroom. I sat on the closed toilet and breathed. I can't break down. I can't let them break me. But it was working. Their campaign was working. I received an email from HR, subject, necessary conversation. Shit. I was called to the HR office on Friday, late afternoon. Carla, the human resources manager, was there with a neutral expression that made me nervous. "Juliana, please sit." I sat, hands sweaty. "We received some worrying information. Calls from people saying you're going through serious personal problems. A person who identified herself as your mother called saying you're in crisis and that you might need help." I closed my eyes. Of course she called. "Carla, can I explain? Please." I took a deep breath and told everything. Without drama, without emotionalism. Just facts. The amounts I paid, the lies, the changed lock, the court order, the defamation campaign. She listened in silence. When I finished, she sighed. "Juliana, I'm very sorry for what you're going through. But I need to be honest. This is affecting your work. You're distracted, you've been absent, and now we have external calls interfering with the professional environment. I know. Sorry. But it's almost resolved. They have 30 days to leave and then it's over. Are you sure? Because from what you told me, it doesn't seem like it's going to end anytime soon." She was right. I knew she was right. "What do you suggest?" "Officially? Nothing. You didn't do anything wrong. But unofficially, maybe you should consider taking a few days. Medical leave. To reorganize yourself. Because if you continue like this, you're going to break. And then yes, their narrative that you're having a breakdown will seem true." I went home dazed. Medical leave. As if I were the sick one. As if I were the problem. But she was right. I was at my limit. That night, sitting on the floor of my empty apartment, I made a decision. If they wanted war, they would have war. But on my terms. I called Dr. Patricia. "I need to sue my mother for unauthorized use of the credit card." Silence. "Are you sure? This could become criminal." "I'm sure." She used 4,891 Brazilian reals without authorization. The bank already reversed part of it, but I want it on record. "Okay. I'll prepare it. And more. I want a complete inventory of everything in the apartment. I want photos with date and time of each item of mine that's there. Because when they leave, I don't want to give them a chance to say they took what was theirs. We can hire an appraiser. Hire one. And Juliana, are you prepared for where this can go? Your mother could be indicted. She could have a criminal record. She locked me out of my house. Destroyed my reputation. Called my work trying to make me look crazy. I'm prepared." On Monday, the appraiser went to the apartment. My mother and Marcella were forced to let him in because of the court order. He spent 4 hours documenting everything. Each piece of furniture, each appliance, each object. Took 347 photos. Made a detailed list with estimated values. Total of my assets in the apartment, 87,340 Brazilian reals. When I received the report, I saved 3 copies. One physical, one in the cloud, one with the lawyer. On the 10th day of the 30, my mother tried to negotiate. She called crying, voice soft. "Daughter, can we talk? Please. Go ahead. I know I went too far. I know I did wrong things. But you're my daughter. Can't we resolve this as a family? You want me to cancel the eviction? Can we have more time? 2 months? 3? To find a decent place. No. Juliana, You had 3 months living for free. You had 30 days notice. The answer is no. She changed her tone immediately. The sweet voice turned acidic. You're going to regret this. I'm going to tell everyone what you really are. You're already telling. It doesn't change anything. I hung up. On the 15th day, Marcella showed up at my work. The receptionist warned me. There's a Marcella here saying she's your sister. I went down. She was at the door crying. Jew, please. We need to talk. Not here. Then where? Nowhere. You have 15 days to leave my apartment. After that, we have nothing more to talk about. I'm pregnant. I stopped. Looked at her. Looking for signs of lying. Pregnant. 2 months. Bruno's. Are you going to throw me out on the street pregnant? I felt a tightness in my chest. But then I remembered. I remembered all the times Marcella invented crises to get what she wanted. The panic attack when I couldn't lend money. The severe flu when I had an important commitment. Show me the test. I don't have it here. Then I don't believe you. Juliana. 15 days, Marcella. I went back inside without looking back. She sent a message 3 hours later, a photo of a positive pregnancy test. I enlarged the image. Searched for metadata. The photo had been downloaded from Google Images. I saw the tiny watermark in the corner. I sent back, watermark in the lower right corner. Next slide, please be more creative. She blocked me. On the 20th day, I received a court notification. My mother had sued me. Compensation claim for moral damages. She alleged that I had caused severe psychological suffering by violently expelling her and demanded 50,000 Brazilian reals in compensation. I showed it to Dr. Patricia. She read it and almost laughed. This has no basis whatsoever. She's the one who invaded your property. It's the world upside down. But will it delay the eviction? No. They're separate processes. The eviction continues. This here is just desperation. On the 25th day, when I finally found the courage to go back to sleeping in my apartment, I found something that made me freeze. My bedroom was destroyed. The walls had been scratched with a key. My bed was cut, the mattress torn. My TV broken. My books thrown on the floor, some torn. Clothes cut to pieces. I went from room to room. The destruction was systematic. Only my things. Nothing they had brought was damaged. I took photos of everything. Hands shaking. Then I called the police. 2 officers came. They filed the police report. Property damage. Possible crime of qualified damage because I had proof of who had access to the apartment. Do you want to press criminal charges against your mother and sister? I looked at my destroyed bedroom. At the books my father had given me, torn. At the graduation photos, cut in half. I do. I signed everything. I sent the photos to Dr. Patricia. She responded in 5 minutes, this changes everything. We can request early eviction due to property destruction. On the 28th day, we received judicial authorization for immediate eviction. At 10 in the morning, I returned to the apartment. This time with a court officer, police, and a moving truck that I hired myself. I knocked on the door. My mother opened it, saw the operation, and turned pale. It's today, I said. But we still have 2 days. The officer showed the new order. Due to property damage, the deadline has been moved up. You ladies have 2 hours to remove your belongings. 2 hours. My mother started screaming, crying, threw a tantrum. Marcella called aunts, cousins, anyone who would answer, asking them to come, stop the barbarity. Nobody came. The police stayed at the door while they packed in a hurry. Clothes thrown in bags, objects piled up carelessly. I stood watching from the living room. Quiet. Firm. Where are we going to stay? Marcella asked, voice broken. Not my problem. My mother stopped packing and came to me. Face inches from mine. You're going to pay for this. One way or another. I'm going to make you pay. You already tried. It didn't work. She spat on the floor, near my foot. The officer took a step forward. Ma'am, any aggression and we'll take you in. She backed up, but the hatred in her eyes was palpable. 2 hours later they left. 5 suitcases, 3 boxes, bento on a leash. They stood in the hallway surrounded by things, not knowing where to go. It wasn't my problem. I closed the door and locked it from inside. I stood there, leaning against the door, listening to them drag the suitcases down the hallway. The elevator arriving. The doors closing. Silence. My apartment was chaos. But it was my chaos. In the following weeks, reconstruction began. First, deep cleaning. I hired a company. For people spent 2 full days cleaning, disinfecting, removing any trace. Then repairs. I painted the scratched walls. Bought a new mattress, new TV. Some of the books were irreplaceable, old editions from my father. Those I kept even torn in a box that I put at the top of the closet. Not as a trophy, but as a reminder. I changed the lock again. This time to an electronic one with a password. Nobody would have a physical key anymore. I installed cameras. One at the door, one in the living room. If someone tried to enter, I would know. The credit card case moved forward. The bank provided all the records. My mother was notified. She tried to argue that I had authorized verbally, but the recordings of the calls to the bank proved otherwise. I had explicitly said I didn't authorize it. The judge determined that she pay back the 4,891 Brazilian reals in 12 installments, plus 1,200 Brazilian reals in fines and attorney fees. When the officer went to notify her, I found out where she was living, a tiny apartment in the back of a friend's house, sharing a room with Marcella. I didn't feel sorry. The compensation lawsuit she opened against me was dismissed. The judge was clear in the sentence. The plaintiff did not demonstrate any illegality in the defendant's conduct, who only exercised her property right. On the contrary, it was proven that the plaintiff invaded the property, changed locks without authorization, and caused material damage. The request is manifestly unfounded. My mother was ordered to pay the costs of the process. Another 3,700 Brazilian reals. She appealed. Lost again. At work, Carla called me again 3 months later. Juliana, I have to admit, when you told me that story, I thought you were going to fall apart. But you came back stronger. It was true. The first weeks were horrible, but after resolving everything, I felt a mental clarity I hadn't had in years. My analyses became sharper. My presentations more confident. Thank you for not giving up on me, I said. I never thought about giving up. I just wanted you not to lose yourself in the chaos. 6 months after the eviction, my Aunt Celia sent me a message. Juliana, your mother is in need. She doesn't have money for medicine. Can't you help? I looked at the message for a long time. My mother received a pension from my father. It wasn't much, but it was something. She could work, she was only 58 years old and in reasonable health. She chose not to work. I responded, she has 2 hands, 2 legs, and capability. She can work like any other person. But she's your mother, and I'm her daughter. That didn't make me property or a bank account. I blocked my aunt. Gradually, I blocked everyone. Cousins, uncles, acquaintances, anyone who tried to make me feel guilty. I lost family, yes, but I gained peace. Marcella tried to reconnect 8 months later. She sent a message saying she was really pregnant now, that she wanted to make peace, that family should be united. I didn't respond. She insisted. Weekly messages. Ju, please. We need to talk. You're going to be an aunt. I blocked her. A year after everything, I was in the apartment on a Tuesday night. I had just made dinner, a risotto that took an hour to get right. I poured wine into a glass, sat on the new couch I bought, and turned on the TV. My phone rang. Unknown number. I hesitated, but answered. Hello. Juliana? A voice I didn't recognize at first. Who is this? It's Beatrice. Your mother's friend. Ah, Beatrice. The one who commented on the Facebook post calling me heartless. What do you want? Look, I'm sorry to bother you, but it's about your mother. My stomach tightened. What about her? She had a stroke. She's in the hospital. She's bad. I was silent, processing. Juliana? Did you hear? I heard. You. Aren't you coming? I thought about my mother. About the lies, the manipulations, the changed lock, my destroyed bedroom. I thought about the calls at my work, the posts defaming me, the fake lawsuit. I also thought about the woman who taught me to ride a bicycle, who made carrot cake every Saturday when I was a child, who stayed awake with me all night when I had chicken pox at 7 years old. I thought and chose. Which hospital? Santa Casa. ICU, second floor. I hung up. I sat on the couch, holding my phone for 20 minutes. Then I grabbed my purse and went. Not because she deserved it, but because I deserved not to carry the weight of what if for the rest of my life. At the hospital, I found Marcella in the hallway. She looked different. Thinner, hair tied back, no makeup, and visibly pregnant. 6, 7 months maybe. She saw me and started crying. Jew, how is she? Critical. The doctors said the next 48 hours are critical. Can I see her? She nodded. We entered the ICU. My mother was in bed, connected to machines. Pale, fragile, the left side of her face drooping. I sat in the chair next to her. Marcella stood, leaning against the wall. Can she hear? I asked. The doctors think so. I took my mother's hand. It was cold. Mom, I began, voice firm. I don't know if you're hearing me, but I came because I needed to say something. Silence. Just the beep of the machines. I loved you. I still love you, in some strange and complicated way, but you hurt me in ways I can't forgive now. Maybe one day, but not today. I felt my eyes burn, but I didn't let the tears fall. I'm going to pay for the hospital. Because you're my mother and because I can. But after you get out of here, I don't want contact. I need that distance to not break. I squeezed her hand once and let go. I got up, looked at Marcella. Send the bill to my email. I left without waiting for a response. 3 days later, my mother improved. She left the ICU in a week. She was left with sequelae, difficulty speaking, and limited movement of her left arm. But she was alive. The hospital bill arrived. 47,300 Brazilian reals. I paid it in 2 installments. It hurt my pocket, but I slept well at night. I didn't visit again. Marcella sent a message 2 weeks later. Thank you for paying for the hospital. I know we don't deserve it. I didn't respond, but I didn't block her either. I left it there, read, without response. 2 years passed. I'm in a bigger apartment now. I bought it with the money I saved from not supporting my family. 2 bedrooms, balcony overlooking the park. I adopted a cat, Mello, who sleeps at the foot of my bed every night. My work is going well. I was promoted to senior manager. I earn 40% more than before. I don't maintain contact with my mother or Marcella. I know from third parties that my mother lives with Marcella and the baby, a girl named Laura. I know they do physical therapy and that my mother recovered part of her movements. I'm glad they're well. From afar. I don't feel guilty. Not anymore. I learned that love doesn't mean accepting abuse. That family isn't an excuse for disrespect. That I can be a daughter and still have boundaries. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and check if the door is locked. Sometimes I look at bank statements twice, looking for purchases I didn't make. Sometimes I see a mother and daughter laughing in the park and I feel a tightness in my chest for what could have been. But most of the time I feel peace. Peace in paying my bills and knowing that nobody is using my money without permission. Peace in coming home and finding everything exactly as I left it. Peace in not receiving calls asking for money, help, favors disguised as emergencies. The last thing I did was change my will. If something happens to me, everything goes to charity. Nothing to family. It may seem cruel, but it's my last protection. There's a saying I read in therapy that I started, you can honor where you came from without going back there. That's what I do now. I honor the mother who raised me, who taught me to read, who celebrated my victories. But I don't go back to the mother who used me, who lied, who destroyed my sanctuary. I choose peace. I choose myself. And finally, after 33 years, I sleep without fear that someone will invade my space, spend my money, or vote to take what I love from my life. My house has a small sign on the door that I had made. This home is protected by healthy boundaries. Every time I pass by it, I smile. Because boundaries aren't selfishness. They're survival. And I survived. Epilogue. 5 years later. I received a wedding invitation in the mail. Marcella was getting married. To Bruno, after all. Inside the envelope, a handwritten note. Ju, I know we haven't talked. I know I have no right to ask for anything. But I would like you to come. Laura asks about her aunt sometimes. You don't need to respond. I just wanted you to know that the door is open, if you ever want to. I held the invitation for a long time. The Juliana of 5 years ago would have torn it up immediately. The Juliana of today put it on the refrigerator and left it there for a week, thinking. In the end, I didn't go to the wedding. But I sent a gift. A good set of pans, expensive, with a card. Best wishes. May you build something solid together. It wasn't reconciliation, but it was peace. And sometimes, peace is all we can manage. And that's okay. If this story touched you in some way, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories of overcoming injustice. Your comments and support make all the difference for other people who may be going through similar situations. Until the next story.